It's now 6:02 and 109 degrees. Regular session of the Planning Commission of the City of Lancaster, please come to order. Actually says it's raining on my internet phone. How about yours? Anybody get any raindrops on them tonight? Coming in?
No.
No? Well, maybe we have something to look forward to. Welcome all. Tonight the invocation will be offered by Vice Chair Hall, and our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Commissioner Smith. So if you'd all please stand.
Bow your heads and pray with me. Thank you, God, for the blessings we were able to have our meeting here tonight. Thank you for the blessings in guiding this commission and our decisions. Thank you for city staff that prepares us. Thank you for the soldiers and first responders that protect us. Thank you, God, for easing the burden on the victims and family of the Orlando massacre. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please place your right hand over your heart and say the pledge with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May I have the roll call, please?
Commissioners Diana Cook,
Present.
Miguel Coronado,
Present.
Sandra Harvey,
Present.
Sandy Smith, here. Vice Chair Randy Hall,
Here.
Chairman James Vos.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. You will notice that Commissioner Traciano is not with us tonight. Unfortunately, had to resign his position as a commissioner due to the fact that he moved out of the jurisdiction of the city. It's one of the requirements that all members of the Planning Commission, as well as City Council, reside within the city limits of the City of Lancaster. We appreciate his 6 years of service, and he certainly will be missed. Public business from the floor. If an individual is unable to stay through the entire meeting, a short period of 10 minutes is offered at this time. If you care to address us on items on the agenda, please fill out a speaker's card, and you'd be given 2 minutes to speak. Do we have any early speakers?
No, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Then any person who would like to address the Planning Commission on any agendized item is requested to fill out a speaker's card, which can be found at the rear of the chamber. And we'll call upon you then when that item is brought forward on the agenda. As a matter of information for everyone, the Commission meets twice a month. Typically the week prior to this meeting, we meet with staff. It is a public meeting, however, we do not deliberate. We meet with staff to gather input on the proposed agenda, have our individual questions answered. However, we do not engage in discussion nor deliberation, nor do we vote. So if when these items come before us, you may think, gee whiz, it's going pretty quick. Folks may not have a lot to say. Who knows? It's because we've dealt with these matters previously, and we're thoroughly briefed and prepared to take action. Tonight, the first item of business is our consent calendar, which is approval of the regular minutes of May 16th, 2016. The first item, item number 3, which was a discussion of the Lancaster Municipal Code. There was no indication this was not a public hearing. However, we did call upon the public, and as I recall, there were a considerable number of folks here present that evening. I don't know if if it's in here, how many folks were here, but whatever. We did ask the audience and anyone who'd care to address us on that item. It was, they did not, no one spoke to us on that item. So I would suggest that that be noted in the minutes that we in fact inquired of the audience here if they'd care to speak to us and offer their comments, and none were received. So with that change, I suggest that someone offer a motion to approve as amended.
I'd like to move that we accept the draft, or the minutes for the May 16, 2016 meeting as amended.
Thank you.
I second.
Thank you. Anything further? Please vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. The next item of business is, before I call it, I'll point out that we have received a number of pieces of correspondence on this next item, number 2. We did receive some correspondence from California Water Board's Lahontan and the California Department of Fish and Wildlife on this item. On item 3D, we received a letter from I'm not sure if it's a Mr. or Miss Balachandran, maybe. At any rate, commission members have received that. We've also received modifications to the staff report conditions on 15-22, item number 2. On item 3C, condition number 9 was amended, and on item 3E, the staff report's been replaced by a request to continue the item. We've also received uncontested letters on all the action items here tonight from applicants. All right, so let's proceed with the next item on the agenda is item 2, a conditional use permit number 15-22. So without objection, the public hearing is open. As I mentioned, we do have an uncontested letter. Does anyone care to hear a staff report?
Mr. Chairman,
Do I have speakers?
I do not have a speaker's card on this item. However, given that there was correspondence from 2 agencies, we would like to be able to respond to that in the form of a staff report to you so that it's on the record.
Please proceed.
Chairman Vos, Vice Chair Hall, and Commissioners, Conditional Use Permit 1522 is a 10-megawatt photovoltaic solar facility on approximately 89 acres. The project site is generally bounded by 102nd Street West, 105th, Avenue J, and Avenue I-4. The native plant nursery is located to the northeast of the project site, and a handful of single-family residents are located to the northwest and west of the project site. Several solar facilities have been constructed or approved in the immediate vicinity of the project site, and Southern California Edison's Antelope Substation is located immediately southeast of the project site on the south side of Avenue J. The proposed project would operate year-round, producing renewable electric power during late daylight hours, which would be sold to Lancaster Choice Energy, the city's community choice aggregator. The proposed project consists of photovoltaic panels, inverters, transformers, and potential battery storage facilities. A chain-link fence would surround the project site, and a 10-foot landscaped area would be provided along Avenue J and portions of 105th Street West. Access to the project site would be taken from 2 gates on 105th Street West and 1 on Avenue J. Avenue J would be dedicated at 50 feet from center line, and irrevocable offers of dedication would be provided for 105th Street West, 102nd Street West, and Lancaster Boulevard. An irrevocable offer of dedication would be provided for a master plan of drainage facility running in an east-west direction through the northern portion of the project site. An initial study was prepared for the proposed project. As part of the proposed project, the city initiated the Native American consultation process in accordance with AB 52 for the 3 tribes that have requested to be involved. This information is detailed in the initial study and staff report. No substantive comments were received, and the city considers the consultation process concluded. The initial study identified mitigation measures for biological resources, geology and soils, hazards, and noise. With implementation of these mitigation measures, all impacts would be less than significant. Comment letters on the initial study were received from the Air District, the Regional Water Quality Control Board, and the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. The Air District and Regional Board identified mitigation measures that they would like included for the project. These measures were already included in the initial study and are requirements of the project. The Regional Board also requested that the crossing of the drainage channel be done at grade instead of with a box culvert. The design of the crossing will be determined during the review of the building plans. The California Department of Fish and Wildlife identified several concerns associated with the project, including the following: lack of availability of the biological report, sensitive plant species, burrowing owl, Swainson's hawk, and jurisdictional waters. They also requested an EIR to address alternatives and more detailed cumulative analysis. The biological report was sent to the California Department of Fish and Wildlife on 2 separate occasions, in December 2015 as part of agency mailings, and it was attached to the initial study in the form of a CD that was sent to them from the State Clearinghouse. No sensitive plant species were identified on the project site during the biological survey. Additionally, sensitive plant species have been conducted on the south side of Avenue J and along 100th Street West for other projects, and none were identified. Burrowing owls were observed to the west of the project site during biological surveys. However, no burrowing owls were identified or observed on the project site. As no burrowing owls were identified on the project site, no impacts to the species would occur. However, it is always possible that burrowing owls could move onto the project site during the time between when the biological report was prepared and when the developer gets ready to start construction. As such, mitigation measures have been identified requiring pre-construction surveys for burrowing owls prior to the issuance of construction permits. In the event the burrowing owls are identified on site, the developer will work with CDFW to find a solution. This has been successfully implemented on other solar projects within the city. No Swainson's hawks were observed nesting or foraging on the project site. As such, no impacts would occur as a result of the development of this site. The letter states that a streambed alteration agreement is required to address impacts to drainage on site. The California Department of Fish and Wildlife has already issued a streambed alteration agreement that addresses this specific solar facility. Streambed Alteration Agreement 1600-2015-0231-R5, and the conservation property has been identified and is going through the acquisition process. The California Department of Fish and Wildlife also requested an EIR to discuss alternatives and a more in-depth discussion of cumulative impacts. A discussion of alternatives is not required in an initial study, and no other alternatives are available other than no construction, which does not meet the developer's goals and objectives. EIRs are only required if there are significant impacts. No significant impacts were identified for this project, and no evidence that a significant impact would occur has been provided. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions.
Is it normal to get correspondence this late?
Yes.
Normally it's after the closing period, isn't it?
No, it came in on Friday while I was out, which was the end of the closing period.
So on the Lahontan one, page 3, they said that, and this is kind of interesting, stream bed alteration or discharge of fill material to the surface water may require a CWA section, and then it goes on to say, both issued by Lahontan Water Board.
So the Waterworks does issue a permit for discharge into a drainage, and that is a condition. One of their mitigation measures is for them to work with Lahontan to find out if one is necessary.
That's all I had.
So without putting too fine a point on it, with Department of Fish and Wildlife, they received all the information twice,
Correct.
indicated they didn't receive it, made comments on information they didn't receive, and made a recommendation to deny the mitigated certification of mitigated neg deck.
That is correct. And just for,
Why am I not surprised?
I was going to say, and just for clarification, when we send an initial study out for public review, it goes to the state clearinghouse. So we send the initial study plus all of the technical reports on a CD are attached to each individual initial study. The state clearinghouse then distributes that to the state agencies for their review. So they received a copy of it then, and then I personally sent them one back in December with the site plan.
But the boilerplate letter, which is 2/3 of their correspondence, never mind. So what you're saying is the proposed mitigations in the mitigated neg deck as recommended meet all the requirements of California Environmental Quality Act?
That is my opinion.
Okay, very good. Anyone have anything else to ask or add?
Did we find out what kind of batteries? Because I heard you said that they might be proposed in the future.
So my understanding is the type of battery would be dependent upon the technology selected at the time. Right now, all that is being proposed is for the possibility of battery storage to go in, but there is no intent at this time to build that portion.
Thank you.
But it does define the footprint of those.
Correct.
Right. Very good. We have no public to speak on this?
I have no speakers cards on this item.
All right, then. The applicant is here. Do you care to address us, Mr. Bean? If you'd like, you're not obliged to. All right, thank you. All right, then. Anything further from the members? It would be appropriate to close the public hearing then without objection and consider a motion.
I'll make the motion to adopt resolution number 16-04 approving conditional use permit number 15-22.
I second.
Thank you. Anything further? Please vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Good luck with the project, Mr. Bean. Item 3A, these are one-year extensions of previously approved tentative track maps. So without objection, the public hearing is open on 3A, which is conditional use permit number 05-26, tentative track map number 632515. So the public hearing is open. Do we have speaker cards on this item?
No, Mr. Chairman.
All right, then. Anyone care to hear a staff report? No burning desire? All right, then. Without objection, then, we'll close the public hearing and consider a motion.
I move that we grant a time extension to May 21st, 2017, based on the findings contained in the staff report and subject to the revised conditions list, attachment to resolution number 07-21.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Anything further? Please vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Next public hearing is item 3B, which is tentative tract map number 61040. So without objection, the public hearing is open. Do we have speakers on this item?
No cards, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Anyone care to hear a staff report? Nope. No burning desire? All right, then, we'll close the public hearing. and consider a motion.
Make a motion that we grant a one-year extension to June 20th, 2017, based on the findings contained in the staff report and subject to the revised conditions list, attachment to resolution number 05-28.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Anything further? Please vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Next item is 3E, I believe. No, C. Can't read. Marion's using that small font again. Three C, which is tentative track map number 61041. So, without objection, the public hearing is open. Do we have speakers on this?
No, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Anyone care to hear the staff report? Again? No? All right.
Say yes.
So then, without objection, we'll close the public hearing and consider a motion.
I move that we grant a one-year time extension to June 20th, 2017, based on the findings contained in the staff report and subject to the revised conditions list, attachment to resolution number 05-29.
Thank you. Anything further? Please vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. The next action item is item 3D, which is tentative tract map number 63095. So without objection, public hearing is open on this item. This particular item, we received the letter I mentioned, which we've all seen. Any other, do we have speakers on this?
I have no speakers cards, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Okay. Anyone care to, or do we need to have a staff report on this? In response to the letter? Anyone? No?
No, we'll answer any questions in regards to it if you have them.
All right, very good.
So our letter says, number one, it will adversely affect the wildlife there, where all the coyotes, rabbits, cranes, and other birds go. And then number two, the last view of the Tehachapi Hills, I'm not real sure how he's going to miss that, but. And then next to a high school, and developers from Encino will not understand the psychology of Lancaster residents. Their only aim would be profit making. And number five, stop over development, save Lancaster. I just wanted to make sure that he got a fair reading of it.
Well, I'm wondering if, looking at the site, if he lives south of the site, because I was looking at the view of the Tehachapis. That would be, because there's houses kind of back that have that open field, and you can see the Tehachapis, so I don't know if that's where he lives.
He or she, I'm not sure which.
Oh, he or she, yeah.
At any rate, since there's no one here to speak on it, and we've seen the correspondence, we'll close the public hearing without objection and consider a motion.
I'll make a motion to grant a one-year extension to June 18, 2017, based on the findings contained in the staff report and subject to the revised condition list, attachment to resolution number 07-26.
Thank you.
Second?
Anything further? Please vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. The next action item is 3E. That is an E, right, Marion? Okay, great. which is tentative tract map number 67582. So the staff report's been eliminated, and the applicant's requesting a continuance of this matter to July 18, 2016. So the public hearing is open and will be continued on this until the July 18th meeting, assuming that we're okay for time to grant a continuance.
The expiration for this tentative track map is June 18, 2016. If we continue this to the July meeting, I think we would still be okay.
But no further.
Yeah, probably wouldn't go. The state, my mouth will work eventually. The State Subdivision Map Act grants 60 days worth of continuance just by requesting the extension. So they would, certainly the 18th of July would fall within that, but you're correct. Beyond that, if they were to request another continuance, we'd have to look at it more closely.
Well, it wouldn't be to a regular meeting because we meet more than 30 days thereafter.
Yeah.
Or 28 days, actually, since this is anyway, whatever. Okay, as long as they understand this is the only action that we can take. We don't have speakers on this?
I have no speakers cards
All
on
right,
it,
then.
Mr. Chairman.
Without objection, we'll close the public hearing. Consider a motion.
I make a motion that we continue the public hearing to the July 18th, 2016 Planning Commission meeting.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Anything further? Please vote.
Motion passes by a 6-0 vote.
Thank you. Last action item is item 3F, which is the vesting tentative track map 64249. So the public hearing is open on this item. Do we have speakers?
No speakers cards, Mr. Chairman.
No? All right, thank you. Anyone care to hear staff report? No? All right then, so without objection, we'll close the public hearing, consider a motion on 3F.
I move that we grant a one-year extension to the June 19, 2017, based on the findings contained in the staff report and subject to the revised conditions list, attachment to resolution number 06-54.
Thank you.
I second.
Thank you. Anything further? Please vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Director's announcements.
I have one announcement, Mr. Chairman, and then I'll allow you to bring up the ramifications of the council's action from last week and let the rest of the commission know what that entails. As you'll recall, a month ago, I believe you gave direction to us to craft an ordinance for your consideration that would essentially eliminate the minimum parking requirements in the city's commercial zones. We are working on that, but we're going to ask if we can present that to you in August rather than in July. We have some other cases that we are working on, and we want to ensure that we provide you with a good quality product to begin with for your deliberation.
I think everybody will be happy to take it up in August. Commissioner Harvey won't be here in July, so
Okay.
that'll be good.
That's what we will look for then.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
All right. On the commission's agenda, I would mention that last Tuesday night, ordinance 1013 was presented at the city council. There was a considerable amount of discussion from the public. As you recall, ordinance 1013 was an item that we were asked to comment on. However, we did not conduct a public hearing, although we did ask the public to comment that was here, and no one did. I think we took that item up on 2 meetings, if I recall correctly. At any rate, the city council did, in fact, adopt ordinance 1013 with the caveat that it wouldn't become active until January 1st, 2017. And with that action, we've been instructed, as well as Criminal Justice Commission, to form, or a group is being formed, which a member or members of this commission will participate in, with city staff as well as potentially affected members of the community that may be impacted by this proposed ordinance, and within 90 days come back to the city council with any further recommendation or not as it relates to the adoption of ordinance 1013, which could well be an amendment. It could be no action whatsoever. So until staff is now gathering members of the community, as well as the planning director for this division, as well as myself, and I may end up asking 1 or 2 of you to participate, depending on scheduling and issues coming before us. But 90 days isn't a heck of a long time to deal with this matter, but City Council asked us to volunteer, which obviously we volunteered, right? So we'll see how this all turns out. I'm not sure when the first meeting will be. Any idea on that, Mr. Ludicky?
No, I do not know. But the assistant to the city manager is kind of heading this up from the staff standpoint, and I believe she's working with the appropriate people to try to organize that timeline and that schedule.
All right, very good. So if you'll recall, it's not a land use matter. It's actually under Title V of the Municipal Code. But from the planning perspective, we've been asked to participate, and I committed to the mayor and city council that we would be proactive on the matter and spend as much time as necessary to participate and come up with a recommendation.
Are we going to have a subcommittee like we did on the previous alcohol ordinance, or looking for volunteers tonight, or will we wait till next meeting?
I think it's a matter, it's a matter of, at this point, I think it's a matter of availability and what the format of the group will be, and what the first agenda looks like, and who may or may not be participating. If folks are going to, on our group, willing to consider participating, then it would be a matter I would call upon you if, in fact, we need to have further representation. I intend to participate since the spotlight was shining directly on the Planning Commission as well as criminal justice. Even though we didn't actually hold public hearings nor make a recommendation to adopt an ordinance other than, in an advisory role. So it's come back to us for a more specific action. if I understand the mayor and city council correctly. So within 90 days, the recommendation will be put together, and my expectation is it would come before this whole body as a consideration, public hearing, and a recommendation to the city council.
The group, does that consist of the business owners and the craft brewers, or is it
Yeah.
a combination?
Yeah.
Because just based on kind of the feedback I heard.
Yes.
And that was the thing that I had brought up
Yes,
prior to our meeting, was the craft
yes.
brewery bottles. So that's going to be an interesting conversation because, yeah, the off-site, not being sold by the breweries, but being sold by the liquor stores. So, yeah,
And others.
and others. Yeah.
I asked the assistant city attorney to come up with a list of all the alcohol beverage purveyors in the community. I think we actually had it previously, but it wasn't formatted to where they were separated by license type or by use. It was just
So you're talking restaurants and things like that too, or?
no, this is focused on liquor stores, mini marts,
Right.
other retailers.
But the square footage, though, came into play, right? It did not come into play? Okay,
The ordinance was adopted as we saw it,
okay.
but we've been asked to look at it all again. So, yeah, the answer is, yeah, it's wide open,
Okay, thank you.
the way I see it. We'll see how it turns out. But 90 days is not a lot of time to put the resource together between the volunteer community, the volunteer commissions, as well as the staff.
Chairman Bose, is this one of those products that they were talking about earlier tonight that the city staff produces? And we're supposed to comment on it? Because Mr. Ludicky made a point that he wanted to give us a product that we would be proud of to deal with. Is this an example of a product?
I'm not sure. I'm really not sure until the group meets and, agenda is prepared and the points of interest are laid out. I don't know what it's going to be. Who's leading the parade? I don't know. Other than we know the assistant to the city manager is charged with the responsibility of dealing with the issues. So, I don't know. Not a very good answer, but here we are,
Sounds wide open.
wide open. But 90 days is pretty short, particularly over the summer when folks take vacations and that type of thing. So, anyway, that's where it stands. Anybody have anything further for the commission agenda? Anything you'd like to talk about? Nope? Okay. Pardon?
Just want to go play in the rain.
Yeah, oh, that's right. It is going to rain, yeah. We want to go out and make sure we get an opportunity of the rain, yeah.
Chairman Vos?
Your flip phone is.
I would like, if it's okay with my fellow commissioners, to close tonight in memory of Dr. Shamasunder. He's a physician we just lost. Today was his funeral this evening, and he was a founder and worked at AV Cancer Center in our community for years and gave a lot back to this community.
Absolutely. Well, thank you
Thank
for
you.
pointing that out. All right, this is the time for public business from the floor. This portion of the agenda allows anyone the opportunity to address the commission on any city business non-agenda items. We are prohibited, however, from taking any action on anything that's brought before us. Do we have any non-agenda item speakers? Anyone wish to?
I have no cards, Mr. Chairman.
All right, very good. So then the meeting then is adjourned to our special meeting for agenda review, Monday, July 11, 2016 at 5:30 p.m. here at City Hall in memory of Dr. Shamasunder, a longtime resident and practitioner here in the community for well over 30 years, as I You'll be missed. All right, thank you all.